Brett, I mean, you're getting there, you're close. What's your gut telling you will happen with lockdown?
I hope you're right. I hope we are close. I mean, the lockdown's due to finish on Thursday. The mood yesterday, when we had the last update from the government, was that that's still likely to be the full 2 weeks that we go here. The weird thing is this joker in the pack, this Delta variant, which literally popped up out of nowhere in a family in West Melbourne. And what does that mean? How did it get here? We've got three strains of this outbreak where we don't know where it came from. Hopefully it's all been ring-fenced because Melbourne's just flat right now. You know, at the weekend, saw a lot of families out doing their best to try and keep busy and active. But everyone's just kind of hanging on a thread, waiting for the daily numbers and when can we start to get back to some sort of normality. A lot of people going and getting vaccines, which is great, but really I know quite a few people who feel like they've just been plunged back into the dark days of the second lockdown, the 4-month lockdown last year, particularly those who are on casual work and are just... You know, there are people who are borrowing money to buy food, and that's just really sad at the moment.
It's not good enough, is it? I mean, we have been here before, and I think we're all hoping that Thursday is Victoria's final day of lockdown ever. Jackie, the federal government is releasing 100,000 extra Pfizer vaccines for Victoria, but we're hearing this morning in the Herald Sun has a report that the state is hoarding more than 300,000 doses. How's that work out?
Well, I don't know why would be hoarding the doses if it is, but what really blew me away was the extra 100,000, you can't have them for a week in Victoria. It just goes to show the shortage of it. Now, we were lucky, Victorians, to get this under lock, stock and barrel because, one, you're too close to Tasmania and we're just not comfortable with the whole thing. So I can tell you now, after this is your fourth lockdown, it would have to be really hitting the people of Victoria over there. And I just think something needs to give here. So, look, we need those Pfizer vaccines. They need to be moved as quickly as possible. And the sooner that's done, the better. It's really concerning when it starts moving around in that aged care sector. That's very, very concerning, especially this variant being the Delta, because it's so much easier to catch, apparently. So in said for lockdowns, you guys need to go into Victoria. I mean, the morale over there must be just about hit rock bottom, and that's very, very sad, especially for those small businesses, especially over that way.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's it, isn't it? We're all feeling for you, Brett, at the moment and how down everyone is. And to make it worse, the vultures start circling over the AFL Grand Final. Give Melbourne a break. You've got Perth sniffing around now. It's outrageous, Brett.
It's like, you know, you see your neighbour's house on fire, so you pull down the shutters and then try and steal his wife. I mean, this is just outrageous, the opportunism. And mind you, I did joke about it last year. I said, oh, there's no way we'd lose the grand final at the G. And, you know, well done, Brisbane, you got the grand final. But there is a more serious point here. If we can't host the grand final in September, let's say it's played in September as per normal, if we're not in a position to host it by then, we are well and truly stuffed. I mean, by then, hopefully most people who want a vaccine will have had access to at least the first shot. So I can't see a reason you wouldn't be able to host the grand final just on health grounds. And if we can't, we may as well just pack up the state.
I mean, it is outrageous, isn't it, Jackie, that other states are circling? Gold Coast has put their hand up too.
I don't know why they're bothering to put their hand up there, Ali, because I don't know if you haven't heard the rumour, but it's lockdown in Tasmania, mate. If you Victorians can't get your crap together over there. I'll tell you what, she's all the way to Tasmania. You watch.
As if you're letting anyone in, Jackie. You guys have sealed your borders.
Oh, well, that could be a bit of a problem too. But, you'd be really worried if we still haven't got some sort of control in September over this. I mean, it's only early June now, so and I'm quite sure the Victorians and their kids, especially their kids, missing any more school is going to be a real concern. So let's hope that Victoria can get this under control and get back on their way.
Yeah, and I have a very strong feeling that the grand final will be at the MCG, no fears. And of course, that's based on all my medical experience that I have. Now, in the wake of Victoria's latest lockdown, Scott Morrison has seen a support slide for him in the latest news poll, but he still remains ahead of Anthony Albanese as preferred Prime Minister. Jackie, how would you rate the PM's handling of this crisis?
Well, I think it's been rated, the handling of his crisis, and that's why he's not doing very well in the polls. There's no doubt about that. I think they're standing back and going, oh, really, this has got to do with the states. The states have to control all this. I think if this hasn't been a bit of a kick up the backside for him, I don't know what else to do when it comes to managing the COVID a little bit better than what he's been doing. I think he needs to take a little bit more control over the situation and stop saying, well, it's not me, it's the health minister, or it's the states, or it's the premier down here, or, you know, whatever. Start taking responsibility for your lack of actions, and he's not doing that.
Brett, I mean, who do Victorians blame for all of this? Is it being levelled at the state or federal politicians, maybe a bit of both?
Oh, in terms of the lockdown, it's a bit of both, but in terms of the vaccines, it's all on the federal government. It all rests really. I mean, Scott Morrison's the point man for the federal government, so he's got to wear this. The fact that the vaccine rollout had to be sped up because Victoria was going into another lockdown is terrible. The fact that we're even talking about having to roll out more Pfizer vaccines now, just Victoria, is terrible. I think, too, there's another factor at play as well, which is that Scott Morrison still, after, you know, it's coming up, getting on to close to 2 years as Prime Minister, is still largely unknown in Victoria. And I don't think it's any different for Anthony Albanese. We've got two leaders who most people would put in the I don't really know category, which is really surprising for a Prime Minister. So I think that's why his numbers bounce around a bit.
Why is that? Because, I mean, I would have thought Scott Morrison, and I mean, he's been front and centre during COVID from day dot. Why do you think he's not known down there?
I think because he always seems to have to be dragged into making a decision. This is not someone who, when you had, you know, whether it's Tony Abbott, Kevin Rudd, Julie Gillard, I think we had an idea of what they stood for, even if they didn't necessarily live up to what they supposedly stood for. I'm not sure what Scott Morrison stands for. I think there's a big question mark about who he is, what he stands for, and what his leadership vision is for the country. And maybe that's just because I'm in Melbourne, but I wonder if other people feel that across the country. Jackie,
is that something that you're hearing from people in Tassie?
I think, well, he does a lot of visits down here because we have marginal seats, 3 of them, so out of the 5. So you do see him. They are aware of who he is and who the Liberal Party is down here in Tasmania. There's no doubt. I just don't think he's been on top of his game since he got in. This COVID's really knocked him around. I don't think he's... I don't think he's handled it as well as what he probably could have done. We don't have a lot of ledge been going through over the last 12 months either. It's like they can't chew gum and walk as well.
Right.
Something's got to be one over the next 8 to 10 weeks.